looking for Lara from Theatre of Science. She's not here. She's late. I am her twin sister, Clara. Abigail, what pins you need for today's lesson? I don't care. Bit of metal with a pointy bit on the end. Just watch it and then do it later. I am going to tell you all about the planets. The planets of the solar system are boring. We're going to do a demonstration now to show you just how boring they are. Now, if you want to do it at home, you'll just need a bowl of water, pepper, and some washing up liquid. Oh, Clara, we did this in the animals lesson. No, you didn't. It's different. A long time ago, our solar system, all the planets didn't exist. They all started out as, well, if you got your pepper, sort of a bit like that, just floating around in the universe. Just bits of stuff, that's all your precious planets are. Hydrogen, helium, the calcium in your tea, oxygen that you're breathing in now, probably floating around in the cloud. And then there was some sort of shockwave, maybe a star nearby died, and the cloud collapsed. Okay, so we grind the pepper now. Let's grind the pepper into both. We're going to just swirl this pepper around a bit with our finger, and that'll show what happened, you see. There we go, spin. Now, what you should be able to see, loads of stuff clumps into the middle. Now, that's what happened in our universe, our cloud of stuff. 99% of it clumped together in the middle, and that became the star. That star became our sun, of course, and the particles in the sun got so squidged together and so hot that they started fusing together and releasing lots of energy. So, hydrogen particles, they clumped together and they made helium particles, and that released a lot of energy. Yeah, so fascinating. The sun, you should learn about the sun. All these boring bits of pepper left over, yeah, those are the planets. Now, if you get some washing up liquid on your finger and you stick it into the middle, then you'll see what happened when the sun started burning. The sun burning gave off a lot of energy, like a shockwave. So this is what happened when the sun started burning. Oh, look at that! All those little bits get splayed to the outside. Would you like to know why that happens? Well, watch the animals lesson. I haven't got time for this. What happened in our solar system is that all the very heavy particles, they stayed near the middle, near the sun, but all the light particles, the little particles like hydrogen, helium and all that stuff, they got pushed, whoosh, right to the side of the solar system, you'll see. And that's why the rocky planets are near the sun, because they're made of heavy things like iron and all that stuff. And the... Oh, sorry about that, everyone. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that I'm so late. It's just tying my hair back. Before we start, I'll just explain to you the little quiz that I've got going on. If you pay me anything on PayPal after the lesson, you will get sent my activity sheet where I've sort of recreated this into a card game. So pay attention so that, yeah, you win the card game. Planets of the solar system: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, and they're all going round, as planets do, a star, and we call that star our sun. What I've done is I've described the planets, but all the description words are all mixed up. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to tell me which planets have rings, which one would float in a bath if you had a big enough bath, which one planet is not named after a Greek god or goddess. We're going to do the first 4 planets, and then we'll have a little story time, and then we'll do the other 4 planets, as usual, little demonstrations, experiments to help us understand what's going on. First of all, I just want to show you an experiment to explain how the solar system formed. Oh, they've already done it. How did you do that? Right, well, I guess we'll just crack on then, right? My sister? My twin sister? No! I got an email from her this week. It said, your lessons are rubbish. Something must be done, but I thought that was just a joke. Oh, she's awful. Was she putting on like a fake posh accent? If you see her again, you have to let me know, okay? I hope she doesn't interrupt our planets lesson anymore. I've just realised that for the experiment we're doing with Venus, you need a just boiled kettle. Ugh, I'm really sorry. I'm just gonna nip off and boil the kettle. Oh, won't be long. You want to know about Mercury? It's a rock. It's just as interesting as any other rock that you have seen. Oh, but Clara, it's a planet. Doesn't it have moons? No. Doesn't it have rings? No. Oh, but Clara, it's the closest planet to the sun. Surely it's the hottest. No. But Clara, I've read that Mercury is the fastest planet, so a year is really short on Mercury. If I'm 6, then I would be 24 on Mercury. Yeah, well, that's true, but you're not going to Mercury, are you? Because you couldn't breathe, and even if you could, then, scientific fact, you would die of boredom in 8 seconds. Okay, time for a very cool experiment. I'm sorry that I couldn't tell you about Mercury. Mercury's awesome. It's got cliffs that are a mile high, but I don't want to waste too much time. We'll crack on. Venus, about the same size as the Earth, spins in the opposite direction, and it spins incredibly slowly. So Earth spins once round in 24 hours, that's what we call a day. Venus takes 243 Earth days to just spin around once. It's incredibly slow, and even though it's only the second planet from the Sun, it is the hottest planet. Now, you remember our eggs lesson where we filled a balloon with carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide makes up 94% of all the gas that is around Venus, and carbon dioxide is very, very good at trapping heat, so that's why it's the hottest planet. And the air pressure, all the particles of air pushing down on you, is so intense that if you were standing on Venus, it would be as if you were standing on Earth, but a mile under the water. So the intense air pressure on Venus made me think that that was a good excuse to do one more air pressure experiment, because I found one and I think it's awesome. It is a bit dangerous, so if there's anyone who wants to do it at home, adults, you can do it. You are going to pour just boiled water into a glass bottle. Make sure the bottle's not too cold, because otherwise it'll crack and smash. And then you're just going to swirl it around, tip it out, and then as fast as you can, put a balloon over the top. Make sure that you've got a cloth or something to protect your hands. Learn from my mistakes. Minnie says when you went to boil the kettle, your naughty sister was here again. You're kidding me. Oh, my evil twin sister messes up everything. All right, well, we'll just hope that she doesn't come back. Freshly boiled water into the bottle, spin it around. All the air particles inside the bottle are going to get warm, and so they're going to spread out. And then we're going to tip the water out, and what we're aiming for is to get rid of some of the air particles in the bottle. So there'll be more air on the outside than there is on the inside. Put that balloon over as fast as you can. Right, I'm doing it. Boiling water, give it a good swirl, and then I'm going to stretch a balloon over the top as quickly as I can. Make sure that the middle of the balloon is over the middle of the bottle. Alright. Oh, Jessica, this is dedicated to you. It's your 7th birthday today, isn't it? What do you think is going to happen? Oh, I've got something happening right now. If you said it's going to pop, well done. Points of enthusiasm. Now think of something else. Look at that. Isn't that weird? Don't forget, loads and loads of air on the outside of the bottle, pushing down, not very much air on the inside of the bottle. Right. While that's ticking over, let's talk about the Earth then. Cool fact about the Earth, all the other planets are named after gods and goddesses. Earth is a Germanic word which means ground. But apart from its name, Earth, I think we'll agree, is the most incredible planet. It's in what astronomers call the Goldilocks zone, so it's not so close to the sun, it's not too hot, it's not so far away, it's not too cold. It's a perfect temperature for liquid water to be on the planet. And it's that which makes Earth so amazing, because that liquid water about 3.8 billion years ago was just perfect for life to spark off, which is why we're here. 70% of the Earth is covered in water, and the oceans hide some cool things that you might not know about. By far, most of the Earth's volcanoes are underwater, and the longest mountain range on Earth is under the sea. So if you've heard of the mountain range called the Himalayas, that's a lot of mountains in a row. You might have heard of the Andes or the Rockies. If you put all those mountain ranges in a row, and then you've got 4 of those in a row, that would be about as long as the mid-ocean ridge, which is under the sea. So that is a cool quiz question. If you ask people, what's the longest mountain range on Earth? No one's going to think about the mountain range, which is under the sea. Oh, everyone's saying that their balloon is going inside the bottle. Yeah, exactly. Woo, woo! Oh, I just touched mine, yeah, and it did that. There you go. That didn't take anything like as long as it did when I practiced it. That was only caused by particles of air pushing down on the bottle. So Venus, air pressure is 100 times greater than that. Let's not go to Venus. Yeah, what shape is the Earth? That is my question to you. It is a trick question. What shape is the Earth? Come on. Just say an answer. Doesn't matter if you're wrong. Maybe you're saying it's a circle, it's a ball shape. Maybe you're saying, oh, she thinks I'm going to say ball, but I know that the proper mathematical word for ball is a sphere. You're all wrong. It was actually Newton. You remember Newton from our rainbow lesson? The sheep. Newton was the first person on record to suggest that the Earth is a little bit bulgy in the middle, and that shape is called an oblate spheroid. Check us out. Now, there is a demo you can do where you get a balloon full of water, you tie it to a piece of string, you tie that piece of string to a hand drill, which is like a whisk, and if you turn it, then the balloon goes round and round really fast, and you see an oblate spheroid. I don't have a hand drill, I only had an electric drill. So I'm going to show you one of the videos of me trying to make a balloon into an oblate spheroid. I'm not going to show you the one where I get really wet. First of all, the water is being pulled down by the force of gravity, so the balloon looks like a sort of teardrop shape. That's actually why raindrops look that shape as well. There you go, it's not quite a teardrop shape anymore. Oblate spheroid. Because the Earth is spinning, the forces created by it spinning are stronger than the forces of gravity, so it doesn't look like a teardrop shape. It looks like an oblate spheroid. Right, we'll do Mars, and then we'll do our story time. And then we'll talk about the gassy planets. Okay, so Mars. Humans are obsessed with Mars. Best fact about Mars, if you were standing on the middle of Mars, in the middle of the day, then your bottom half would feel like it was in the summer, be a nice 24 degrees C, and your top half would feel like it was in the depths of winter. It would be 0 degrees. But even though it's really weird like that, humans love Mars. There are 6 spacecraft going around Mars, 3 from NASA in America, 2 from Europe, and 1 from India. And there are 2 robots right now up there somewhere, or down there, I don't know where Mars is, somewhere on Mars, 2 robots are busy working away. Curiosity is on the top looking at the outside of Mars, and Insight is staying very still and digging down and looking at the inside of Mars. And we think pretty soon we will have the technology to be able to get bits of Mars and send them all the way back to Earth. I mean, imagine that. Imagine holding something that's travelled all the way from Mars. It's called the red planet because it's got iron on its surface, and when iron goes rusty, as you probably know from looking at rusty things, it becomes a little bit red. Nothing more to it than that. And yet, scientists think, well, NASA are working on it, as are a lot of other people, that we're going to be able to get humans to Mars in the 2030s. That is only 10 years away. So, keep watching the news. Right, it's story time. Oh, and then we're going to do the most frustrating experiment, but I think the coolest experiment I've ever seen, a bit later on. Do you remember from last week's lesson, Aristotle? Now, Aristotle got a lot of things right, got a few things wrong. 2,300 years ago, Aristotle said that the Earth was at the centre of the whole universe and that everything else went round the Earth. So the moon went round the Earth, it does, well done Aristotle, but that the planets went round the Earth and even the sun went around the Earth. The 1500s, and everybody still believes what Aristotle said. And then a chap called Galileo Galilei comes along. What a great name. Galileo Galilei, born in Pisa, went to university to study medicine, but quickly decided that he'd rather study maths. His dad really wanted him to study medicine, but Galileo stuck to his guns. He knew that he had a mathematical brain. One day, he was in church, getting a little bit bored, and he found himself concentrating on a chandelier that was swinging from the roof of the church. He'd noticed that however much the chandelier swung, whether it was doing big swings or little swings, it always took the same amount of time to complete one swing. Can you imagine daydreaming about something like this? You're Galileo, you sat in church, you're watching this chandelier, you can't move obviously because that'd be rude, you haven't got any mobile phone to time it with, you haven't got a watch because they haven't been invented yet to time it with. What are you going to do to check whether you're right? Another brilliant bit of thinking from the olden days. He used his heartbeat. And it turned out that he was absolutely right. And if you do science till you're 16, you will learn about that. One day, Galileo Galilei heard about an amazing invention from Holland. Everyone was talking about this fantastic sort of spyglass thing. It was basically just lots of magnifying glasses stuck together, which meant that you could see things much better than you could in real life. Now, Galileo Galilei, even though he'd never seen one, he didn't have the internet, he just heard about it, went home and built one that was actually much better than the one that he'd heard about. And he did something with it that no one else was doing at the time. He used it to look at the night sky, and the things that he discovered would change his life forever. He discovered that Jupiter had 4 things going around it. First he thought they were stars, and in a couple of days he'd worked out that they were moons. Now, don't forget, Aristotle had said that everything went around the Earth. Everyone thought, well, there's moons going around Jupiter, and then Jupiter's going around the Earth. We didn't know that could happen. Galileo also noticed something which we call the phases of Jupiter. You might have seen the phases of the moon. You've noticed the moon is a full moon sometimes, and sometimes it's a half moon, and sometimes it's a teeny tiny little crescent. Venus does the same thing, but the phases of Venus can only be explained if Venus is going round the sun. So now we know that things can go around things that are also going around things, and we know that Venus is going around the sun. It didn't take Galileo very long to think, well, it must be that the Earth is going around the sun. The people high up in the Catholic Church were furious. They thought that the Earth was the most important thing in the entire universe, and that people were the most important thing on the Earth, and that of course the Earth should be at the centre, and that's what the Bible said. They said to Galileo Galilei, you've got to stop saying this. You've got to stop saying that the Earth goes around the sun. And Galileo said, oh, all right, I mean, it does, but fine. Now, I want you to imagine that you're saying rude words all the time, and your parents have said to you, I don't want you saying those horrible rude words anymore, and you've said, oh yeah, okay, I won't, and then you write a story where the person in the story says rude words, and then you hand that in to your teacher. That is basically what Galileo Galilei does next. He writes a book where 2 people discuss whether the Earth goes around the sun or not. And the Catholic Church say, do you think you're clever? Sorry, we're not listening, Galileo Galilei. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. We are not amused. And what they did was, they put him under something called house arrest, which means that Galileo Galilei had to stay in his house and wasn't allowed to go outside. I mean, can you imagine? Wouldn't that just be terrible? He won in the end, because we know now that the Earth does go around the sun, and that all the other planets go around the sun, and in, I think it was 1989, a spacecraft called Galileo, in his honour, went to Jupiter and discovered that one of Jupiter's moons, Europa, has loads of water under the surface. One of them has its own magnetic field. Fantastic things. So there you go. In the end, Galileo Galilei won the day. But it's a good lesson in that you got to stick to your guns, because sometimes everyone else is saying one thing, but it's actually you that are right. We're going to crack on now with the gas giants. Sorry, I think that's the doorbell. I won't be long. Just gonna go and get the doorbell. Oh god, this is just a nightmare today. Oh, we want to the gas giants. Let's talk about the surface of the gas giants. What does it smell like? What does it feel like? Is it fluffy? Is it rough? Is it yellow? Shall I tell you? Doesn't exist. There is no surface to these gassy planets. Okay, it's just gas and liquids just floating around. If you tried to land the spacecraft on Jupiter, it would be like landing a spacecraft on the air. How can you even call it a planet if you can't land anything on it? Should just be called a gassy ball. Oh, right, okay, sorry. So, the gas giant Jupiter is the first gas giant. Now, you can imagine Jupiter actually as being like a tiny mini solar system. Spin round and round. The sun, when the solar system formed, took 99% of all the stuff in the cloud that collapsed. Jupiter took most of the other stuff. Greedy little Jupiter. So you could imagine that the middle of this is Jupiter, and there's loads of bits of stuff swirling around the outside. Jupiter is massive, so its force of gravity is really, really strong, and that's why it's got 70, I think at the last count, it keeps changing because we keep finding more, 79 moons. It's also got rings, which we think are broken up bits of moon. Most famous bit about Jupiter is that it's got a big red spot on it, a storm which has been raging and raging for hundreds of years. It's made of mainly hydrogen and helium. It's actually got the same ingredients as the Sun, but it wasn't quite big enough for the hydrogen to start smacking together and turning into helium and reducing loads of energy. So luckily for us, it's not quite big enough to be a sun. Oh my days, I think my phone is ringing. This is crazy. And now it's Saturn. Saturn, I'll tell you a little bit about Saturn. Saturn thinks it's great because it's got rings. I've got news for you, Saturn. All the planets that are gassy have rings, okay? You just can't see them as well. Jupiter's got rings, Uranus has got rings, Neptune's got rings, there's loads of rings. You're not special, Saturn. It's made of hydrogen and helium, just like Jupiter, but it's smaller than Jupiter, so it's even less interesting than Jupiter. I'll do something to show you now. What I'd like you to do, you've just been sitting there, listening, not doing anything. Get up, wander around your house. I want you to very quickly find some things that you think will float in this bowl of water, okay? Could be a Cheerio from your disgustingly unhealthy breakfast. Could be a bit of fluff from your filthy carpet, the bogies in your nose. I don't care. Find something and see if it floats. I've got this bit of banana. Let's stick that in there. Let's quickly think about things that float. So is this going to float, yes or no? Quickly, just say yes or no. No. Oh, yes. Oh, look at that. I've learned a thing. Bits of banana. Float. Cheerios. Delicious little O's. There we go. They float as well. This bit of wool. Are you finding things that float? Are you just sitting watching me, you lazy? Come on. Go and find some things that float. I'm going to put this wool in this bowl. Yes, going to put some bit of ball of sellotape there, bit of paper. Nice. I want something to sink. Let's put this rusty nail in. There we go. It sank. Maple and Aubrey. Keeping... It's my sister. Well, yes, she's just disappeared, so that's why I'm filling in for her, teaching you the truth about these incredibly tedious planets. You've seen surface tension in, like, the animals lesson. This isn't about surface tension. On average, the particles in Saturn are further away than any other planet in the solar system, okay? So this bit of banana, the particles in it are further apart than the water particles. So the banana's floating. The rusty nail, its particles are very close together, it's very dense. It's denser than the water, so it's sinking. Saturn is the only planet that is less dense than water. So if you got a bath and you stuck Saturn in the bath, it would float. You know, if you could find a bath that was like 9 Earths across, which of course you couldn't, could you? That's ridiculous. Oh, here she is, oh, you called me at last, did you? What are you doing here? Interfering in my lesson! Yes, well, you were taking ages. I was just bringing this little birthday sign for Jessica, because it's Jessica's 7th birthday today, so I thought I'd dedicate the 7th planet Uranus to Jessica. You can't dedicate Uranus to Jessica! I think Jessica will appreciate the effort, okay? There. Happy 7th birthday, Jessica. You're ruining my lesson and my life. Just go away. They don't want you. They want me. I think I finally got rid of her. This is the most frustrating but the best little demo that I've ever done. Coming up. Uranus. Something must have smacked into Uranus a really long time ago, like another planet or something, because it's the only planet which is lying on its side, which is a bit to do with the little demo that I'm going to do in a minute. It's a beautiful blue colour because it's made of hydrogen and helium like these planets, but it's also got some methane in it. Lovely fact about methane is that it absorbs red light. So light from the sun goes towards Uranus, and the methane basically takes all the red light out of the white light. You see my rainbows lesson, you'll know what I'm talking about. So the only light that bounces back is like bluey green. It was the first planet to be discovered with a telescope. The famous astronomer Caroline Herschel, it was her brother William who discovered Uranus, and their house where they lived in Bath is now a museum where you can go and look around and see all their equipment stuff. It's very cool. Right, time for this incredibly annoying experiment. This is the one where we use 2 pins and the 2p. It's so annoying. Look, I've brought this massive stack of 2p's because that's how long I think it might take for me to do it. But I know that you're with me on this because You know what's more important than learning about science? Learning resilience, learning how to fail. This is so simple. If you can fail and then keep going, and then fail and then keep going, you will go so far in this world. All you do for this is pick up a 2p using your 2 pins, and then you blow on it. Doesn't that sound so simple? Doesn't it have like 21 Earth years long day and nights? Oh yes, well done, Jill. A winter on Uranus lasts 21 years. Right. How cool is that? Look at that. First time. I have practiced though. You might not get it first time. Isn't that awesome? Thanks, Finn from Manchester. I hope you're loving this bit. Because I feel a bit lightheaded now. Oh, God. The reason that happens is because of a force called friction. Now, friction pushes against things and slows them down. So the reason that 2p doesn't roll across the table forever and ever ever is because the table's pushing back on the 2p. We might go into friction later. But because there's only 2 teeny tiny little pinpoints touching the 2p, there's hardly anything to push back on the movement of the 2p. And that's why it spins around really fast. The final planet, Neptune. Now, Neptune doesn't have any tricks. It is the furthest planet from the sun, so it is really, 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 really cold. And it's windy. It's an even more beautiful blue than Uranus. And we don't know why. It has got some methane in it, but it doesn't look like Uranus, so we think it must have something else in it as well. If you want to be a scientist, maybe that is one of the cool things that you could work out. Why is Neptune such a beautiful blue colour? It takes light, imagine the sun's over here, it takes light 4 hours to get to Neptune. That's 8 minutes to get here and 4 hours to get over here. It's the only planet in the solar system that you can't see at all, not a bit, with your naked eye. Which concludes today's lesson about the planets, except some of you might be saying, I've got this planets bedspread, or oh, I've got this beautiful book about the planets that was written in like 1992, and you might be thinking, why can't we talk about little Pluto? Well, Pluto, when I did my exams, Pluto was a planet, and we had to learn that Pluto was the 9th planet of the solar system, but nowadays we say that Pluto is too small to be a planet, so we called it a dwarf planet instead. What actually happened was that astronomers discovered other teeny tiny little planets right on the edge of the solar system, and we had to decide, do we say that there's like 1,000 planets, or do we just say to Pluto, sorry Pluto, you can't be a planet anymore. It's a dwarf planet, along with some other awesome planets like Marky, Haumea, which is an oval. We'll do some more lessons on space. That concludes today's lesson about the planets. Thank you so much for joining me. Like I say, if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see some information about a planets card game and a crossword that I've put together, which is for your pay-as-you-feel activity sheet this week. Thank you so much to people who bought that last week and used the opportunity to just support the lessons a bit more. So that was sort of the idea, that if you want to, you can fund what I'm doing. As usual, like my Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yeah, I am going to go and give my sister a piece of my mind. Holly and Finn, are aliens real? Oh, Holly and Finn, there's still 183 people here. That's what I didn't say about Mars. Is that they found traces of water on Mars, like there used to be rivers and lakes on Mars. And you might hear people say, we're looking for life on Mars. They're not looking for like aliens now, but they're looking for signs that there was life on Mars. Oh, thank you, Leo. I'm glad that you liked it. So probably just teeny tiny little, like, teeny creatures, like maybe one cell, but still aliens, isn't it? If we found life on another planet, it would sort of prove to us that it was possible for life to be on other planets. Riley and Dylan, I'm so glad that you enjoyed that. Oh yeah, the balloon! It's blowing up inside the bottle. That's absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's really good, isn't it? Again, just the incredible things you can do with air pressure. I can't believe my sister was so rude to the planets. I love the planets a lot more since I started researching them. Actually, I had to change my mind about some of the planets and decide that they were brilliant after all. I've started a Facebook group so that I can put up loads and loads of like resources. Louise, the coin trick was awesome, wasn't it? Thank you. Those of you who haven't been before, I'm probably just going to stand and chat now in order to avoid going down and parenting my own children, so you will not be being rude if you leave. What is the name of the Facebook group? Oh, it's like free science lesson and inspiration. I'm sure if you go to my Facebook page, and click on groups, you'll get to it. Florence in all, I'm really glad you enjoyed yourself. You've been coming for a while, haven't you? Emily from Great Yarmouth, what was the pen for? Oh, Emily, how old are you? That is sharp. If you put felt pen marks on the outside of a balloon and then blow the balloon up, it's a good way of showing how the universe is expanding. But in the end, I decided that we would stick to the planets, and when I do the space lesson, we'll do that demo. Yeah, sorry, it's only a pen, wasn't it? At least I didn't ask you to find like a diamond ring or a budgie. Grace and Caleb, are you in Birmingham? Oh, I love Birmingham. Oh, your library is amazing. Do you dare go to the top of your library and look down? Caden says he doesn't believe in aliens. The aliens thing is weird, isn't it? Because obviously when you picture an alien, you think of someone like human size or bigger that's all green and stuff. But if aliens just means something being alive on another planet, then there's really no reason why there shouldn't be life on another planet. Well, hopefully I'll see you next week. I'd tell you what the lesson is, but I don't know. Kate Smithson, you're 39 and you wanted a shout out. That's totally fair. I really appreciate that. I was going to say I'm 39. I'm not, but I'm old enough to not be quite sure. I'm in my late 30s. If you're on the sun, if you jump, you'll get a six-pack. What? No, the sun is even worse than the gas giants. You can't even stand on the sun. I mean, that's the least of my worries, really, with what you've said. But you can't stand on the sun. The surface of the sun is less dense. The particles of the surface of the sun are more far apart than this air. Like if you went to visit the sun, if you could, you'd be like you'd be in this, going, where's the sun? And you'd be in it. Oh, question from Sammy. If you did the balloon in the bottle experiment on Venus, would the balloon end up bigger or the same size? What a brilliant question. Well, if air pressure was greater, the balloon would end up a lot bigger because there'd be more air pushing down on the bottle. But if you did the experiment on Venus, the glass bottle would be crushed and you would be crushed as well from all the heat and the pressure. I take no responsibility if you go into Venus. That is a terrible idea. Oh, Ruben H9, you're in Leeds as well, like Ella's in Leeds. I'm really glad that you enjoyed your first lesson. Good, this one was a bit weird. They're not usually quite this weird. Alright, you lot, go over to my Facebook group on my Facebook page if you've got any more questions, because I do loads of research for these. I can't obviously tell you in this time everything that I've learned. Can we do about the human body? Oh yeah. Quite a few people have said they want to do about gross stuff to do with the human body. Yes. We'll just do a whole lesson on like bodily fluids or something. If Fiona wants to know how to make chloroform, I'll give it another month, Fiona, and then I'll start looking into that for you. Yeah, gonna go to my Facebook group if you've got any questions. I would love to answer them, and I will see you next week. Bye.